Hello and welcome. The task of fighting economic slowdown is not just up to the private sector, it's also up to the more industrialized states who are also competing for investment. How is the state of Maharashtra doing? Well, joining me to discuss that is Apurva Chandra, Principal Secretary Industry of the state. Mr. Chandra, thank you very much for speaking with us. So, I'll talk about clusters in a little bit and what the state of Maharashtra is doing. But what's the sense that you get today? I mean, when I talk to people in the private sector, the sense is of gloom and doom. How are you seeing it from your vantage point?
I have recently joined here just about 6 months back, and this has been my first experience in the industrial promotion sector as such, because earlier I was in the Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas.
Yeah.
But here what I am finding is that there is a lot of inquiries, there is a lot of entrepreneurial spirit, and you really get enthused after meeting people, because despite the difficult economic circumstances, people are enthused, there are investment queries, and people do ask for land, and we do feel that things will, there is a lot of confidence in the Indian growth story. Even from the multinationals, we find a lot of inquiries, especially in those who are looking at the Indian market.
Okay.
In the consumer goods sector, we get a lot of inquiries, and land, in fact, I would say, is in a short supply comparatively. We are able to cater to all those who are coming to us as of now, but probably in a year or so, we do feel that we may have shortage of land.
Right. So, how does this a state's efforts to procure land for industry contrast with, let's say, the new land acquisition bill?
See, one is that one very major initiative which was taken by the government of Maharashtra under the new industrial policy of 2013 was the exit route for SEZs. SEZ policy, and a large number of SEZs were promoted in Maharashtra. It had the largest number, but due to various reasons they could not take off, and the new industrial policy provides for a exit route, allowing for integrated industrial areas to be developed in such SEZs, both in the private SEZs and the SEZs which were developed in joint venture by MIDC and CITCO. And we do expect that this policy, in the joint venture itself, there are about 4,500 hectares of land, and in the private also another 3,000–4,000 hectares of land. So, this will provide substantial capacity for new industrial areas. This policy provides for a higher FSI in these SEZs. It provides for a ratio of 60% for industries and 40% for other purposes.
Right.
So, that is one aspect. And
so you think there is enough land lying around at least to meet immediate
which is
demand?
already available,
Yeah.
and with these
so there is no fresh acquisition required, which will cause
fresh acquisition is also going on side by side. It is not this that fresh acquisition is not going along. MIDC has a large number of acquisitions which are on the anvil, especially in the DMIC projects.
Okay.
That is another area, Delhi-Mumbai Industrial Corridor. 2 industrial cities are proposed to be developed in the initial phase of the Delhi-Mumbai Industrial Corridor. One is the Shendra-Bitkin area in Aurangabad, and the second is the Dighi Port Industrial area in Raigad district. In the Shendra-Bitkin area of Aurangabad, considerable progress has already been made. We already have 700 hectares of land in our possession. Another 2,000 hectares of land is going to come in our possession in another couple of months. And there were some issues on the signing of the shareholder agreement and the state support agreement with the Delhi-Mumbai Industrial Corridor Trust of Government of India. Those are nearing resolution, and we have already moved the government of Maharashtra for approval of this shareholder agreement and the state support agreement, and we expect that during the next month we should be able to finalize those issues also. So, once that happens, I think we can move forward on the Shendra-Bitkin industrial city very fast.
Right.
And there we have already identified 3 early bird projects which can immediately take off. One is drinking water supply scheme costing over rupees 300 crore. Another is the exhibition cum convention center for Aurangabad, for which 50 hectare land has already been identified. And the third is that there was a railway siding project which was proposed at Karmad village in Aurangabad. Now, Delhi-Mumbai Industrial Corridor Corporation has suggested that we be upgraded to a logistics hub. For that also about 130 hectares land is already available with us.
So, what's Maharashtra of course has a lot of successful clusters. Do you see that as a path to development and growth for industry, particularly small scale?
Definitely. I mean, Government of India has taken a very major initiative in supporting clusters. They have two schemes. One was the IIUS scheme, in which they were providing 50 crore rupees for support for clusters. Another is the MSc CDP scheme, where they are providing 15 crores. And in both of these projects, the Government of Maharashtra has taken considerable benefit, because 5 mega clusters have been set up. One is in Nasik, the second is in Pune, third is in Aurangabad, other in Ichalkaranji, Kolhapur, and they are already operational. On the smaller clusters, the 15 crore scheme also, more than 70 clusters are in the pipeline in Maharashtra, and they range from wide varieties, from those clusters which are using agricultural produce, like for example, turmeric, grapes, then mango, and all these are leading to clusters because they want to improve their storage facilities, their packing facilities, and how to transport and how to do that. Then apart from that, the handicraft clusters like the Patani sarees. Then there are the industrial clusters like in fly ash or garment manufacturing. So there are a lot of people who have the skill and the entrepreneurial spirit. They are taking
and you
benefit.
feel that the level of economic activity and maybe even growth is higher in these clusters as driven by small enterprises as compared to maybe some of the larger ones?
The main advantage of these clusters is that people come together. One is that the scale of operations for these industries many times are very small. Then they are not exposed, because of their smallness, they are not exposed to the best technologies, and the best technologies also cost a considerable amount of money. So it is not possible for an individual industry or individual unit to invest in that kind of money for the technological support, but the common facility center which these clusters promote, and where they can source technology, the best technology available in the world. So that gives them a lot of impetus and brings about competitiveness and economic advantage for these clusters.
Right. So how is the next 1 year looking like for the state government of Maharashtra in terms of targets set and investments expected?
Our mega investment policy is already in place. The new industrial policy has come about. We have given some additional benefits for the industries to be set up. Then we are working on some more additional incentives for auto industries. There are some very major investments lined up in terms of expansions in the auto sector in Maharashtra, like with companies like Mahindra, Tata, Bajaj, Volkswagen. They are all talking of additional investments in the state, which again speaks of the bullishness of this sector despite the doom and gloom which is projected in the media.
Okay. Mr. Apurva Chandra, thank you very much for speaking with us.
Thank you.